Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Miss Sabrina Seoul. Thank you so much for being here with me and my beautiful guest tonight. You guys know that tonight is Wednesday night and we have the missing link tonight. If you did not catch my live panel review, definitely check that out from Tuesday and also my live reaction watch party on Friday. But yes, tonight is the missing link, and you guys know with the missing link, we mean business tonight, okay? And I have the amazing Miss Jonique here. You guys might remember her from Ready to Love Miami, which is this season that I'm actually reviewing now. And yeah, and also that lady, that woman that was like, I made my first million. I came at the age of 27, and everybody was like, what? Honey, all I'm going to say is I am so inspired by you, and I'm so glad that you are able to sit down here with us tonight to give us a little bit more of who Jonique is outside of Ready to Love and the behind the scenes of your real life. So welcome to the Missing Link. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, honey, because let me tell you something. So I usually always say, I'm not going to talk about the Ready to Love, but I do have to say this. When I first saw you on the show from the very beginning, I was like, she's a boss. And let me tell you something. One thing about me, I'm a boss. Okay. And bosses see other bosses. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, I said it from day one. I was like, nah, I was like, it's something about Jonique. I was like, she's about her business. You know what I mean? I was like, ain't none of these dudes. I was like, he ain't here for her. He ain't here. Her man is not there. I'm like, child, I said,
you were correct.
I said, watch, when the show ends, when the show ends, I said, we're going to find out. I was like, this girl is amazing. I said, I don't know what it is about her, but we're going to find out. And I'm so glad I'm sitting here talking to you because I want to know. Okay. I'm inspired.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here talking with you. And you were absolutely correct. My man, my love, my connection, whatever you want to call it, was absolutely not amongst the cast. And that's okay. The cast is a very small amount of men compared to the grand scheme of life. Like everyone acts like, oh, if you didn't find love on this show, like, okay. It's a couple of weeks.
And I'm like, it's 10 men out of what, 7.9 million people on Earth. I'm like, stop it. I'm like, come on now. I'm like, yeah, so I get it. And you're absolutely right. Well, anyway, we're going to put Ready to Love to the side right now. And we're going to get into who is Jonique Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you?
So I'm originally from North Carolina. That's where I was born and raised. So I grew up with a very Southern, rural, way of upbringing, very, old fashioned. My parents didn't have me until they were in their 30s. Mm-hmm. So they were already established in their careers, and I had older siblings. So I grew up like somebody would have grown up in the 70s because that's when my parents were raising my older siblings. And so then I came around in the 90s and I was born. And so I still have a lot of those types of upbringing the way, I was raised. So born and raised in North Carolina with my mom and dad who are still together. They've been together for 37 years. And I spoke a lot about them on the show because my parents are my everything. And they've, been together my entire life. I grew up with a 2-parent household, very strong family unit. And it definitely showed me the importance of family, the importance of marriage and love, and just having a life partner to walk through life with and depend on and rely on. So that was the example I had, my parents. And so, but none of that was shown on the show, but that was like a huge part of my story.
That's important.
It was a huge part of my story because I do value the union of marriage and love and, true partnership with someone. I feel like that's extremely important. Like my mom always says, man is not meant to be alone. You're meant to walk through this journey with someone who can pour into you and vice versa in ways that will propel you to greater heights than you could on your own. So that's definitely something that's extremely important to me. So anywho, born and raised in North Carolina. I went to undergrad in North Carolina A&T, which is an HBCU in North Carolina. Then I moved to DC when I was super young because I went to grad school at George Washington. Went there, got my master's, and I did consulting work for years. So I worked at like a Big Four, Deloitte. I worked at like Booz Allen, like all these big consultant firms doing energy consulting for defense contracts. So I did a lot of energy strategy for Navy and the Marine Corps for years in my early 20s. And it was fulfilling work. It was fun, but I always had an entrepreneurial spirit about me. My dad is an entrepreneur. My parents have owned several businesses over the years, and it's just always just been kind of ingrained in me. Even when I was an undergrad, I started doing PR work on the side. I created an LLC, and I started doing public relations work because that's what I was getting my degree in. And I hired some girls that were in my major to do the work to get internship credit, and we were able to get some clients. And and this was when I was like 19, 20 years old. And from there, once I got my master's and I started working in consulting, I just started doing a slew of different things because I've always been the type of person where I like to work smart and not hard, and I like automated money, and I like to make money in my sleep, and I like to make money without having to do too much, and I love to turn nothing into something. So one of the businesses that I started when I was in DC was a cleaning service. And with that service, I didn't have to lift a finger. It was completely automated. I had independent contractors, and I paid them hourly, like a base pay plus extras for depending on the type of cleaning it was. And I would basically connect homeowners with these cleaners. And I would probably make about 70% of the cleaning by doing absolutely nothing but owning the business. And that's just an example of many businesses I have started, and just kind of went in from the bottom and built nothing into something, and basically something where I could see my bank account go up, up, up every single day and not have to even leave my house, not even have to do anything other than create the business structure, make sure that proper licensing and insurance and protocols or whatever are in place, make sure I'm vetting and hiring the right people for the job, and watching the money flow in. That's always been me from day one, from having a PR firm when I was in undergrad and hiring my classmates to do it for internship credit, whereas though I was able to make money from the clients and I didn't have to pay anyone. So I was able to pocket everything. Like, I'm always just strategizing ways in order to have the highest profit margin with the least amount of work, the least amount of overhead, and just the most amount of money in the end in profits. So after being in consulting for maybe like 5 or 6 years, well, while still being a consultant, I started my software business alongside with my cleaning service. Um, and with my software company, I was able to, it just, it comes from meeting people, shaking hands, getting to know people, networking. I met someone who owned a software company, and we just kind of started talking about licensing and rights and how they're distributed and just kind of how that world works. And he was just like, I'm not really looking to partner up with anyone else right now because, this is a business where you can make a lot of money, but you can also fail really, really quickly and very fast if you don't know what you're doing. So I made my case. I'm like, look, I'm a strategist by trade. I have opened and maintained several successful businesses. If there's one thing about me, I know how to make money. So after talking and talking and talking, he was like, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance. Like, let's partner up. Let's do this thing. So, I got all of the software rights and the licensing and the distribution, and I created my own processes and my own protocols for starting this business, something that I had never done before, but I just had a very strategic way of, just a mindset. I know how to run a business. I know how to take something and I know how to make money from it. And that's essentially what I did. And fast forward years later, I was able to quit my consulting job after only a few months of running that because it became so successful and we were growing at such a rapid rate, and I had to start hiring staff so quickly that I could not keep my 9 to 5. Even though this was before COVID, I was already working remotely anyways. I still did not have time to, keep my 9 to 5 because I had to start scaling very, very quickly. And so hired staff. And I mean, fast forward now, some years later, I mean, we're still thriving. We're still doing fantastic. And I'm branching off and doing other things. I'm starting a feminine hygiene company now. I've just always been I'm a girly girl. So I love skincare, makeup, anything
Okay.
that smells fresh and
Oh,
clean and
okay.
perfume.
Okay, Jonique, you giving me too much because I got questions back from 4 minutes ago. So
Okay.
I'm gonna literally stop you right there because this is all the stuff. Because now, okay, so the things that you're saying, I have questions. So we're gonna go back because the first question I asked you was who was Jonique?
Mm-hmm.
Honey, I'm like, interview over. I'm like, she done gave us so much just in that little bit of time. Okay, so okay. Because you got my brain, entrepreneurs, honey, you got my brain like it's turning, the wheels are turning. Okay, we're going to go back. We're going to scale it back a little bit, and then we're going to get back into it because I want to talk about the hygiene business, because I remember you did say that. So, and you're getting ready to start that, but we're gonna get into that. Now, how would you describe your personality? And somebody, and that's actually one of my questions, and someone in the chat said that Jonique must be a Taurus, Capricorn, or Aries, money-making, ambitious zodiac. So describe your personality and also tell us what your sign is, because they do ask that a lot.
I'm a Scorpio, so my birthday is in November 7th. But I definitely have that ambitious money making mindset, sign aside. Like that's just me. I think that's just flowing through my veins, just from my parents, and I just always also knew, like, with my outlook on life, I knew what I wanted and I had a vision. And I think it's so important for us to have vision for what we want for ourselves.
Mhm.
And I knew that vision could not be supported by just a 9 to 5 job. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. It's honorable, and I encourage it to anyone. But at the same time, I know that if I want multiple homes, if I want to be able to travel several times a month, if I want to be able to just go somewhere for weeks at a time and not have to worry about a thing, if I just want to wake up and not do anything, then I'm going to be good to go. I don't want to have to worry about a bank account. I don't want to have to worry about if I can do this or if I can do that. I want to do it all. And that's just me and who I am. And I knew to live that type of lifestyle, I had to do certain things, make certain sacrifices, and have, my ducks in a row in a certain way in order to attain that. And so for me, it was just always on the grind. I mean, seriously, I've always been the type of person that loves to have fun, loves to really enjoy life, but I never let going out and doing things hinder me from the bigger picture. Because I'm the type of person, I'll go out all night and come home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll work all night long on whatever it is that I need to do for my vision. Because at the end of the day, nothing is more important than the vision.
Mm-hmm. So at a very young age, because we hear where you are now, but at a very young age, what did you want to be growing up?
So initially, I wanted to work in the medical field. I wanted to be an anesthesiologist. And I went to like a lot of science summer camps that my mom signed me up for, and I really was into that. I wanted to do like pre-med. And then I started thinking about it, and I feel like those people are kind of slaves to the job when you work in the medical field. And like I told you, I like to make the most amount of money with the least amount of work. And being in the medical field is not that. That is a lot of work, grueling hours. I
Yep.
mean, it's super extremely stressful. And I like to live a very stress-free life. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to work. And this was when I was young, when I was probably like 14, 15. So at that point, I was like, no, entrepreneurship. My mom signed me up for Mary Kay. I started selling Mary Kay when I was in high school. And that was like my very, very first taste of entrepreneurship. I was selling those products. And I remember I had my first Mary Kay party. I was like 16, and I made $300 in like 2 hours. I said, yeah, this is for me. So that's when I knew that I was going to own my own business, have my own products or my own services, and I was going to make my own money, and I was not going to do that under the direction of someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So moving forward and after everything that you did, so once you started on this entrepreneurial journey, because you did talk about the jobs that you actually had, you started to talk about your hygiene, the products that you wanted to get ready to start. Now, before that, did you have your own business? Like, what was your first business, your first real business?
Mm-hmm. So my first real business was probably the PR firm that I started in college, because that was a money producing business. Even though my employees were getting paid with internship credit, that was actually producing a profit for me when I was in college, and it was actually an LLC that I was paying taxes on. So that was like my first business.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I mean, I've done so many things, but the next like real big business after that was my maid service business. For me, I wanted to ultimately grow that into just service based businesses, being
Mm-hmm.
connected with homeowners in general. So not just cleaning services, but lawn care, something like a Task Rabbit type of ordeal, because I had a website very similar, but it was just catered toward cleaning services. And I did that for several years in DC. It's so funny. I still have people call my old number that I had for that business to this day for cleaning services, because I had a really good crew of cleaners, and that business was in DC. And when I left DC, I, dismantled that business. I don't do it anymore. And also just didn't have time with my software company.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought about recreating that business in Atlanta as well, because it was very low overhead and I was making money immediately when I started doing it. And for me, I mean, it's not that difficult. You can grind it out for a week or two and start a completely new business and start making money that quickly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take some grand plan. It doesn't take like some master plan. It's really not that difficult. You can jot down a few ideas on a piece of paper and turn it into a income business within a month, making money. I'm telling you, it's not that difficult. If you
Mm-hmm.
have an idea and you have the drive and the will to stand behind it and make a little sacrifice here and there so that you can really be at home planning out that business, plotting and planning, you can make some money fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. So after the cleaning business, and I promise you guys that all my questions are going to make sense for my last question with this. So after your cleaning business, is that when you started to say, you know what, I'm going to start a new hygiene line?
No, so the hygiene thing has just came about in the last year. I started that cleaning business when I was like 25.
Mm. So what came after the cleaning business?
My software company.
Okay. And
Mhm.
you did speak a little bit about that. So what came after your software company?
I still have the software company. I've been doing that. I've been owning that business for years now. It's really hands off. My staff runs it day to day. I make the executive decisions, but that's my bread and butter. Um, when I started that business, I was making five figures a month two. So that's something I've been doing for years. But like I said, that's a business I've built up to where it is now. I don't lift a finger. I have a staff that does the day-to-day operations. And the feminine hygiene thing for me is just honestly more of like a passion project. Of course, it's going to be a revenue producing business, but it's just something I'm very interested in. And I also want to do a lot of corporate social responsibility with that, to be able to provide feminine hygiene to women who can't afford to do so in lower income areas and in impoverished countries. So I definitely want to do a lot more with that. That's more of a passion project, but it's going to be some quality, amazing feminine hygiene washes, sprays, scrubs for women to purchase. But it's
Mhm.
gonna an extension of that is gonna be just like philanthropy, because it's a passion project.
That's so amazing to hear that. That's so amazing. Okay, so during the time when you have started all these different businesses, in your head, did you think to yourself, you know what? this is what I want to do? Or what was in your head? Or was it more in your head where I want to just make some money?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you have a certain passion throughout this time frame before you got to this point right now? Was it something that you wanted to do, you started to do, it didn't work out, so you went to this avenue, or you went in this direction? Like, did something change, or you're on the path exactly how you envisioned it?
This is what I envisioned. My passion was reaching my purpose and reaching my vision.
Mm,
And the vision that I have for myself is just the lifestyle that I see for me and my family.
mhm,
And creating that lifestyle means sacrifice, and it means grinding out, even if it may not be a passion that I'm doing. These businesses were areas where I identified a lot of potential to make money. And I knew I needed a lot of money in order to reach the vision that I have for myself. My plan was always grind it out, identify opportunities to make money, and then you can live more in your passions after you've gotten yourself to a place where you can live comfortably. I was always just chasing the vision, no matter what it was. If someone came to me with an opportunity and I saw that I could make some good money off the opportunity, I'm investing in it. No, it's not a passion. No, I'm not crazy and wild about software distribution or a cleaning service, but those businesses made me a lot of money. So,
mhm,
and I knew I needed a lot of money in order to reach where I wanted to be. So that I'm like, okay, I'm super comfortable now. Now I can do things that aren't necessarily for money, but just because I enjoy them, like the feminine hygiene. I genuinely want to provide women with quality products that they can use and enjoy for their feminine health.
mhm,
And, that's not something that I probably would have done 6 or 7 years ago, because it's time consuming. It costs a lot of money to start a business like this, a lot of money with developing the products, a lot of money with marketing the products. It's not something that you can immediately make money off of. I needed something that I could make a lot of money as quickly as possible to get myself to a comfortable place, so then I can more so go start chasing passions and stuff like that. But for me, it's just always about the money. Because I know what I want to provide for myself. I know what I want to provide for my parents, for my future children, for my future family. And I always knew, okay, Jonique, if you can identify a few businesses that you can automate and make money in your sleep and not have to do too much, then you can focus more so on passions down the road. And it's not going to be too far down the road, because if you do this right, it's not going to take you 10, 20, 30 years. It's only going to take a couple. And it did only take a couple.
right. So you made your first million by the age of 27.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you hit that $1 million mark, how did you feel? And what did you do?
I just felt like everything that I've been doing was worth it.
Yeah.
I feel like the plan that I had up here, that I was always just kind of following in my mind, it made sense, and it worked, and I just felt accomplished. Like, okay, let me replicate this. Let me
Right.
replicate this. How else can I make some more? That's
Right. Because I'm doing
I'm
something right. Exactly.
Exactly, exactly. And it may not work for everyone, but what I've been doing works for me. I at that time, I blew a little money just to have some fun, but I made sure that I had what I needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Mhm.
always like to have money saved, and always, for me, I just love to like bask in the ambiance of looking at my bank account. So I could never just sit here and just spend up money. Like, it's no way. When I see
Yeah.
money, it just makes me want to add to it. And I'm just
Yes.
always thinking about the next best thing I can do. It
Yes.
is so many ways to make money. Like, I mean, so many niche opportunities out there in ways that you would never expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always just looking for the next best way. I'm always just trying to connect with people to see what more I can learn. I'm a sponge. I want to know as much as possible, like as much as possible. I was just talking about this a couple days ago, that I'm looking at getting my pilot's license, because, like I said, now that I've gotten to a certain point in my life where I've automated my businesses and I'm looking to still grow them and start other businesses, but I'm at a comfortable place where I can start doing some fun things. That's not going to make me any money, but for me, everything is about mindset. And that's another thing that I also know got me to where I am right now and will get me to where I'm going is my mindset. Because even when I didn't have a whole lot, I still treated myself like I had the things that I aspired to have.
Mm-hmm.
So even now, I don't have a private jet, but I want to learn how to fly one because one day I'm going to have one.
Yep.
And that's how I've always lived my life. I may not have it now, but I'm preparing myself mentally, physically for the things that I know I'm going to have one day. And I've always done those things.
Yeah, that's called manifestation. And
Absolutely.
I'm huge on that. So, and I agree with you 100%. So let me ask you this. Okay, before we move forward, because I do want to talk more about your businesses, the Thrive Retreat. Like we're going to get into all that, but just because we're on the subject now of a millionaire, just run through real quickly a day in the life of Jonique. Tell us how, when you wake up from the time that you open your eyes in the morning to the time that you close your eyes at night, explain to me and just kind of go through a day in the life of what you do in your world.
So on a typical day, I'm going to wake up and I am going to come down and get my coffee. I'm going to start the day there and then I'm going to do some meditation. I always have to take some mindful time to myself to just clear my mind because there's a billion things running through it. So I'm gonna come get coffee, sit in my recliner. Everybody knows this recliner is my seat. It's a permanent print of my butt in that recliner. I'm gonna sit down and I'm going to take time to be mindful, even if it's 5 minutes, just to kind of clear my thoughts and let the ones come in that need to be there so that I can be productive. Otherwise, it's gonna be millions of things just flying around. So I'm gonna have my mindful time. Probably going to listen to an audio book or a podcast at that time, depending on what's going on, and do some reading. I love to be a sponge, like I just said, and nothing in particular. I'll read anything. It to me is so important. I think reading builds your communication skills, even if it's not something that you can use immediately. I just think it's important, even if you read for 10 minutes. And at that point, I'm gonna hop on my laptop and I'm just gonna start surfing around for things that can help my business or new opportunities for other businesses. Like that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm on the group chat with my staff to see how the morning's going by this time, because they started around 10. And I'm in the group chat checking on them, making sure that they have everything they need to be successful, because part of being a leader is empowering and making sure that your team has everything they need in order to be successful and feeling like they're valued so that they run things in a way that you would. You want them to view your business as if it's their own so that they can perform in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so by that time, typically I can get lost in my laptop, depending on what I'm researching, depending on what I'm working on. I may be building out a new process for the software company for the girls to use. When I say the girls, I mean my staff. I may be building out something that I want to use to sell because also I have distributors under me who also work with the software licensing as well. And sometimes I'm kind of putting together manuals and things to coach them on how to be better with distributing their software as well and the licensing for it because we distribute to individuals as well as companies and they have their teams as well. So I mean, my day in a nutshell is just perfecting what I currently have and trying to look at other things that I can, get into that can help me grow and build my empire and what I'm working on. And I'm always traveling, sometimes for work, most of the time for personal, because I enjoy living life to the fullest. So I just got here today at home. Now I'm in Atlanta. I got to fly out tomorrow. I got to go to North Carolina. But that's what life is about to me. Like I work so that I can enjoy myself. Everyone's always like, "Oh, are you traveling for work?" I'm like, "No, I'm traveling for leisure." I don't live to work. I live to enjoy. So that's a typical day for me. I mean, it's nothing too crazy. It's nothing, too far fetched. Just learning and growing and trying to create opportunities for myself at every turn.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, mm, would okay, so let me ask you this. So with all that being said and moving forward, because I know with your website, and just to let you guys know, if you go down to the description box, and of course I was going to say this in the end, but just to let you know, if you want to connect with Jonique, and we'll say it in the end as well, it's down in the description box. But of course, everyone knows that anyone that I interview on the missing link, I do my homework. And I went to joniquelynch.com, to your website, and I noticed that like you have courses and you have retreats and you have, so it's like so many other things that you haven't even mentioned right now that you embark upon, and it's like it's something completely different. And when I went to the website, the first thing I felt and that I said to myself was, I was like, oh, this must be for the girls, honey, because that's the vibe that I got. I got like, oh my God, we about to be real pretty and cute here, and and obviously I felt like, oh, I'm about to learn some stuff too. So I really enjoyed myself on the website. So I want you to give me a little bit of information now. When I was on the website, I did notice like you have the Kickback and Thrive retreat, you have the Boss retreat. Give me a little bit more information about the retreats that you have.
So the retreats are something that I wanted to start in order to not only empower women, because we have a lot of empowerment stuff going around now, but give you something tangible that you can actually use and implement in your life that can make some type of change or difference, whatever you want that change to be. So I wanted it to be fun, a turn up, but also a way to turn up your life. Take things to the next level, because I'm always about leveling up. I don't care where you are or what you're doing. You can always do more. There's always a next level for you. You can always become more refined. You can always become a better version of yourself. And that's what I'm always about. And so that's just kind of how that came about, because I started doing success coaching about like 4 years ago. And this was just all like being done alongside with me kind of doing, my businesses and working and other things like that. But a lot of people would ask me for advice. And so that's when I started like my success coaching brand. And
Yeah.
I started doing digital products and things like that. And I wanted to start doing some webinars as well. I haven't done any, but I said I wanted to do some because it's a good way to spread the knowledge without having to have like Zoom calls all the time. It can be, a lot of the information can be repurposed and reused, and having, a pre-recorded webinar with a lot of the gems and tools included. I definitely want to get up on the website as well. I just feel like, I'm super young, but I do have a lot of wisdom, and I've been through a lot, and I've done a lot of different things, and I started a lot of different businesses, and I've, made a lot of mistakes as well. And the mistakes are what pours into the learning. And that's what I want to be able to give people as well, because my mistakes can help someone avoid those same types of mistakes.
Right.
So that's the life coaching, success coaching brand, with just the digital tools and the retreat and all of that great stuff. And I wanted to do a retreat. I wanted to do one this year, but I'm not going to have time. So I'm going to probably start advertising for next spring, sometime in the summer.
Yeah, because I did notice the last one you had was what, in like October, November?
So the first one was supposed to be before COVID. Then we had to move it because of COVID.
Hmm.
The first one was supposed to be March of 2019. And we
Hmm.
all know what happened.
Yeah.
March 2020.
Hmm.
That was when everything went into lockdown for COVID. And so now I think it's going to be really fun, because back then there was so many restrictions with everything with
Oh, so the one in 2022, towards the end of last year, you didn't have that one.
no.
Oh, shoot.
So now like I said, I wanted to do one this year, And
Mm-hmm.
since I don't have time to do one this year, I was discussing last week about maybe doing something here in Atlanta, like
Mm-hmm.
a 1 day or 2 day type of thing here in Atlanta at a hotel. And it's still making it similar and fun.
Mm-hmm.
But since I can't do like one abroad this year, I just don't have time. I was thinking about doing one here in Atlanta and saving the next abroad one for next year. So.
Mm-hmm. So, say for instance, if someone was interested in actually signing up for your webinars and the coaching that you have, can you give us an idea of what? Just because if someone's watching this right now and they're like, "Wait a minute, she's a boss," like, yeah, I want to get advice from her. Like, can you just give me a just a small example of what they to expect or what to expect
Mhm.
if they were to sign up for your courses?
So right now, that's something that I said I want to do is the webinar courses. Right
Mhm.
now, what I do is individual sessions
Okay.
with people. So with those individual sessions, what I do is I kind of gauge who you are. I have a whole questionnaire that
Mm.
I complete about you to kind of see how I can help you to make sure that will be a good fit. And
Yeah.
then once I figure that out, it's kind of crafted to each individual person. These
Mhm.
are one-on-one sessions to see what you need from me and how I can pour into you. And we kind of keep it going, whether it's weekly, every 2 weeks, however long. And I kind of give assignments based on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to grow. So that's how those sessions typically go. But the courses with the webinars is something that I want to do because I love the one-on-ones. They're super impactful because they're very personalized.
Mhm.
But with the webinar courses, there will be more generalized information that I feel like more of the masses can use. And you don't have to actually set up a session to talk to me. You can just sign up, get the webinar pre recorded, and use it to your benefit.
Right.
It'll be much
So,
cheaper.
right, right. So with the Thrive Retreat and the information that you just gave us about that now, is that separate from Thrive University and the Thrive podcast?
hmm
Okay.
So with the university, that's where the webinar courses were going to come
Okay.
in. That's
Okay.
I haven't started it yet. I
Okay.
just got wrapped up in the one-on-one sessions, and that just
Mhm.
took up most of my time with that, with the success coaching.
Okay.
hmm
Because I'm going to ask these questions. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now with self-made, because like I said, I did my homework. So with
Mhm.
self-made LLC, is that the LLC where all this falls under that umbrella, or is that
So,
something separate as well?
so Self-Made Enterprises, that particular entity is my software distribution company.
Mm,
hmm Yes.
okay. Okay. And I don't know, and maybe I missed it because I was so engulfed into the conversation, which if that was the case, I probably shouldn't have missed it. But did you explain a little about what kind of software it is and what made
No.
you get into? Because I think we were talking about so much stuff and it just
mhm.
was kind of flowing. I don't
I
think.
got into it like well, I did kind of explain a little bit how I did get into it. I met someone who was doing something similar, but he owned the actual software. Like they created the software, and we just kind of got talking. And like I said, it's one of those things like when you're out, you're networking, you're meeting people, and you start like, "Hey, what do you do? Hey, what do you do?" And he started
Mhm.
telling me about it, and I was like, "That's something I would be interested in because I feel like." With my background in strategy, that's something I could build up to be pretty big. And he was just like, if you don't have a background in this, it's kind of
Mm,
hard to get into. And I was just like, no, I think it's something that I could do well. And then we talked and talked and talked, and I convinced him to let me join his team with that. But I mean, it's been going well. It's been going super well. Um, I didn't have any background in it. I don't have a tech background. I don't have a software like development background. It's not something I've done before, but I know how to, like I said before, make something out of nothing and start from
mhm,
nothing. I know how to create processes and protocols that work. So,
mhm,
and that's
mhm.
what it's about a lot of times when people start businesses. They're like, okay, I got my LLC now. What? Okay, well, it's probably important for you to create some type of processes for you and your future team to follow, so that there's a way that you guys do things that makes sense and you're as most efficient as possible. Because
Right.
I'm all about efficiency. That's how we make money, by being as efficient as possible.
Okay, so wrapping up this portion, what advice would you give someone to help them on their way to getting their first $1 million?
The first thing I would say is to just stop focusing, for one, on saving money. I'm
Mm,
not saying don't save money. I'm saying your focus should be on making money more so than it should be on shaving expenses. We've been taught for so long that you got to save, 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 save. And saving is important, but you are never going to become wealthy by just saving money. You're going to become wealthy by making more money. So you can get a roommate, you can sell your car, you can stop getting your hair done every 2 weeks, and that's gonna save you a little money, but you're never gonna become wealthy doing that. You need to figure out how you can make more money. Whatever it is, whatever you can identify that you're good at. Because for me, like I said, I don't have a tech background, I have a software background, but I know that I can put kick-ass processes and protocols in place that can make a team super efficient, and that can make me money. You know, it can be the small things, but I would definitely tell people to stop focusing so much on saving money and focus more on making it. And also, just forget anything anyone's ever told you about making money and apply what you think that looks like for your life. You know, it's going to be different for everyone. For me, everything I do is about mindset. And I do that a lot with my success coaching as well, mindset coaching.
yeah.
Because if your mind is not in the place to become wealthy and to have these things, either you're going to get them and you're going to lose them, or you're never going to get them at all. So you have to mentally prepare yourself before you pick up your laptop, before you pick up a pencil or piece of paper, before you pick up the phone to call somebody, whatever it is you need to do.
Yeah.
You have to prepare yourself mentally first, because even if you make that money by luck, by chance, whatever, if that mindset is not aligned, you're going to lose it really quickly. And that would be the as top level as possible for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, y'all. I hope y'all taking y'all notes because I love listening to and learning from people that did it and is doing it, you know. Quick story, I remember telling someone, I was giving someone advice because I'm the exact same way. Like, I do consultation as well, and I charge for consultation. People are like, I want to pick your brain, and I'm like, well, here's my fee. You know, and that's something that I do too, and a lot of people don't know. I do a lot of things. I have a lot of different businesses, so it's like I get it. And people just really don't understand, because you and I both, and we're like, I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. Like, it took us a long time to get to where we are. We had to educate ourselves, we had to study, we had to invest, we had to grind it out, countless hours of, you know, no sleep and all work, you know, because we had to figure it out. And I'm just like, I'm at a place now where people are going to have to pay me if they want this knowledge. Either that, or you go and invest that time and that energy and them, you know what I mean? And that money, and you do that, then like, go do that. Like, I'm not telling you to not do it, but if you want the cliff notes, it's going to cost you. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Exactly. So it's like, I completely get that. Okay. So real quick, before we get into the next segment, were you on House Hunters?
I was.
I've been seeing that floating around lately, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yes, I was on House Hunters. That episode was filmed in 2019.
Oh, wow. So it was before the show. So
it was way before the show.
So I didn't even see it, but I saw like people screenshotting, like, is that Jonique? And I'm like, it looks like her. And I'm like, well, I'm about to just ask her myself. I'm going to ask the horse. So did you ever find a house?
Yes, I did. I moved into a house on the show and showed my house and everything. But yeah, so that was from 2019, way before the show was even thought about. I don't even think I had even heard of Ready to Love back then. But I was buying a house, and I just thought it would be a cool opportunity, because I watched House Hunters growing up.
Yeah.
all the time. I was always watching HGTV. I was probably the only 12-year-old watching HGTV.
No, we were watching it together.
I've always been into beautiful homes, home interior,
Me
decor. Just I
too.
love beautiful homes. So I was always watching House Hunters growing up. So I was just like, okay, it's so funny because I was supposed to be on the show back in 2015. I was buying a condo, but I didn't end up doing it. But they had contacted me. I had did my little application. They contacted me, and I ended up not wanting to film the process. But then in 2019, I was buying a house. I was like, let me just do it. I was like, this is nostalgic for me because I love watching this show growing up. So
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way, hence why I'm in real estate now. So okay, so let me ask you this. So you brought up Ready to Love, and we all know you were on Ready to Love Miami. So how did you, oh God, so many questions. First of all, how did you find out? Because you said you didn't even know anything about Ready to Love. How did you find out about Ready to Love?
So I actually was on Backstage. I don't know if you're familiar with Backstage, but it's a website for people who act and also for people who just do anything in like entertainment. They
Mm-hmm.
have all types of stuff up there entertainment wise. And Ready to Love, I don't know how they market this show. I guess they market it everywhere.
Okay.
But my profile was up there and someone reached out to me, a producer reached out to me. I guess they just seen my profile. Saw I had DC and Miami listed in my location. They were like, hey, are you single? And I'm like, yeah. And it was like, you would be great for this show, da da da. Because I had my reels and stuff on there, so they could see a little bit about they could see a little bit of my personality on my profile. So I guess they were like, oh, okay, they reached out, and I was like, okay, I've seen this show before, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of how it started. So I guess they peruse Backstage. And I actually have a profile up there because I wanted to get into acting at one point, and I still do. It's something, but that's like another thing I said before about passion projects. Like I'm about making the money.
Mm-hmm.
The passion projects, they can wait on the tail end of things for me personally.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so now how did you, because you said you grew up in South Carolina and then you had,
North Carolina.
I'm sorry, North Carolina and then DC, and then I heard you say something about Atlanta. How did you end up in Miami?
I just always loved Miami. I used to visit a lot, and I just thought it was beautiful. The weather is always warm, and so I went down there. So, I mean, because I live all over the place. Even now, I'm always in DC. I'm in between DC and Atlanta. I split my time. I'm not in Miami anymore. Um, because as beautiful as it was, as nice as the weather was, after living there for some time, I realized that it just wasn't for me to live. To visit, I'm still visiting all the time because if you're on my social media, I'm always in Miami still, but
Mm-hmm.
I do not live there.
Yeah, honey, I feel you because Miami was my second home. I had a condo on Ocean Drive, honey. You could not keep me away from Miami, honey.
Mhm.
Pre Sadora, pre my daughter, honey. Jamaica
Yes,
and Miami. That's
it's a
what
vibe. It's a
it
vibe, and I
is.
love
It
I
is.
love Miami. But to live, I was like, no, this is
Yep.
not. When I was actually living there, I was like, no, this is not the same as visiting. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Child. Okay, so with the editing of the show, because we hear it all the time. I know I've heard it a lot. With the editing of the show, do you feel like that the show portrayed you in a way where, yeah, that's me, or do you feel like it was very heavily edited and you like, I don't know who that person was on the screen?
This show was extremely edited, and I will say that it was small, microscopic pieces of me.
Mm,
There are so many layers to who I am. I am an onion, and you can peel me back all day. I'm very layered. There's so many different things that make up who I am, as is anyone. But the show paints everyone as extremely one-dimensional.
mm-hmm,
Everyone's super flat. It's just like you're this person and that's that. We all know that's not how human beings are. We have multiple dimensions to us. We have all types of interests and different things that make up who we are. So the show was a very, very, very small microscopic piece of who I am. They cut out like 90% of my interviews and things I said, things I spoke about. I spoke a lot about family. I spoke a lot about my parents. None of that was included because that's the basis of who I am. I'm very family oriented, and that's something that's extremely important to me. But none of that was included. So it's like my core values and things that are super important to me were not even included on the show. So that's why I say it was a very microscopic piece of me. There were some things that were shown that are things I like or are of interest to me, but that's not who I am as a person.
Yeah, but do you feel like they portrayed you like what we did see? Was that like, yeah, that was me, or that's not me at all?
No, it's just a part of me. They showed a part of me that's more like, oh, I like to have fun and go out. Yeah, I do like to have fun and go out, but I also like a million other things.
Yeah, it was.
So, they showed just a fraction of who I am. The things I spoke about and said, they showed, like I said, 10% of that. So
Right.
I'm not saying the things that were shown are me because I said them, but the way that it was chopped and screwed, it made it seem like that's all that was ever spoken about, and that's just completely not true.
Mm-hmm. What made you initially want to do reality TV, especially a dating show? Like, what made you want to do that? Like, how was your dating life? Like, what brought you up to that point where you were like, you know what? I'm gonna do a dating show. I'm gonna go on, a TV show and try to look for love.
Because when they contacted me, they called me. I remember the night they called me. I had threw a birthday party for my parents. They called me. I stepped out to talk to them. And it was just kind of like one of those things like, I'm single. Why not? It wasn't like some huge, like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. When they were explaining the show to me, I was like, okay, well, I'm single right now. So why not? And I just kind of did it. And I actually had just turned 30 at the time because at first they were like, we don't even know if you're old enough to do it. And I had just turned 30. So I was like, yeah, I
30 to
just turned 30.
50.
I just turned 30. They was like, okay, because 30 is like the cutoff. That's the youngest you can be to be on the show. So I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, it was just like a kind of whatever, what the hell, I'll do it. Let's see. I'm single, I'll do it. So, that's pretty much it. It wasn't more complex than that. It was real easy, real simple.
Yeah. How did you feel looking at yourself back on TV during, the show? Like, did you watch it back and go, oh God, why did I wear that? Or why did I say that? Or why did I do that? Or what, you know what I mean? Or you're like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Like,
No, I looked at it and the first thing I said was, I don't like none of these angles that this camera is doing because that is not my good side. I don't like that angle that they're doing. And it was pissing me off because the whole time we was filming, he was like, I'm going to make everyone look so great. I feel like that man made everybody look so crazy. Like, it was no way. The angles, it was not it. It was not given. Especially in 100-degree Miami weather. Everybody was usually after hours of filming really antsy and annoyed anyways because it's hot as hell. Everyone's sweating. Everyone's tired. It's, just being out in that Miami heat. So, yeah. So that was one of my initial thoughts. The second was, why did they chop this up like this as if this is how the things went and they didn't go this way? Yeah. So, and when people ask me about how I think the reunion is gonna be, I just be like, I don't even know because they edit stuff so much. I don't know what's gonna be aired. Um, so yeah, I just feel like it was not the best representation of myself or anyone else on the show because I was there, I lived through it. I had those conversations with them. I was there, and it was very misrepresented. Like it wasn't. I don't feel like it was a true like picture of the things that happened at all.
Mm-hmm. Now I know who was it that okay, because I know Miami heat is like different, and I heard it was so hot out there, and it was only a couple of you guys where y'all's makeup was bomb. You're actually one of the ones where your makeup was bomb, like throughout it. Like I wasn't like, oh my God, she's melting. And with for example, like Natasha, for the very first episode, honey, she came in, her hair was silk pressed out, she looked good, but by the end of the night with y'all's meet and greet, honey, you could tell her hair is naturally curly. You know what I mean? And you could just tell, I guess, from it being so hot. So with the makeup, did you get your makeup professionally done, or did you do your makeup, or you just know how to work your makeup just from being in the heat?
Sometimes I got it done. I had someone who would do my makeup at my house before I would go shoot, and then
Mm.
sometimes I did it myself as well. So, but I don't sweat a lot on my face, so that's probably what that was. Some people do
Mm.
sweat a lot on their face.
Yeah, I
I don't
do.
sweat a lot on my face, so I didn't really have like the makeup issues. But when I spoke to the makeup, just speaking for everybody, I know a lot of the girls had makeup problems because of the heat, because it was so humid. We were filming in June, July, August time frame, the hottest months of the year in Miami. It was like 100 degrees every day. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and like 90% humidity. So the air was just moist.
Right. Yeah. We filmed during that time too. So I definitely get it. Okay. So I do want to ask you this. When you were eliminated from the show, like, how did you feel? Like, were you like, yeah, ain't nobody here for me? Or was you like, I'm not ready to go yet? Like, I still feel like I had connections and they didn't show it. Like, how did you feel when you were eliminated from the show?
No, I knew I didn't have any connections. I was getting kind of frustrated anyways because I didn't feel like there was not anyone there that made me want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I was fine with it. I mean, I didn't fight it at all. The only issue I did have was how the elimination happened and how it took place. But I did not mind leaving because I knew my person was not there. That was apparent to me after the first group date that my person was not there.
Mm-hmm. Do you regret anything that you did or said on the show?
No,
Hmm. Would you do anything differently?
no. I said what needed to be said in that moment, and
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with it. I feel like everything I said fit the moment, fit
Yeah.
what needed to be said, and yeah, I don't regret anything I said because it was the truth.
Yeah. You could tell too, like you were one of those people that, for me, you know how like some people after the case be like, dang, I wish I would have said that. Like, dang, I wish I would have did that. Like, you don't come off to me as one of the people like that would be like, dang, I wish I would have. You really have that type of energy. Like, no, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I felt. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I need to say. Cause yeah. And then after I say it and after it happens, I'm done with it. Like you and I, we kind of
Mhm.
have a similar personality.
Absolutely, it is what it is. This is how I feel, and
Yeah.
it's appropriate for the situation, and I'm
Yep.
standing on it. That's what it is.
Yep. Absolutely. So would you do this again?
I would do it again. Well, let me put it this way. If you asked if I would redo this process, like I would do this process again, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but to go on another dating show, no, no. Because I
Mm-hmm.
had a
Mm-hmm.
positive experience. That's why I say, like, if you were to say, oh, would you do this over again, this actual, process with everybody again? And yeah, I would do that. But another dating show, no,
I'm the same way.
no.
Unless it's a dating show where if it's 20 men, like The Bachelorette,
Uh-huh.
I'll do that, but I ain't doing it like where's the competition? Because my thing is, and it shocked me when I did it. And I said, you know what? I've tried everything else. Let me just try this. I'm gonna try this out and let me just see what
Mhm.
happens and let's see what comes of it, you know? But normally in my real life, I'm like, if you got to pick between me and her, pick her. Like that's my normal life.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I don't be in competition with nobody. I feel like so it was just
Period.
awkward for me to be in that space, but that's why I was so secure within myself because I'm like, if whoever don't pick me, that's fine with me because they weren't meant for me.
Mhm.
So I'm good with it. Now, if they had an all-star show where they brought back like all the people that didn't make a connection on all the seasons, and they were like, Jonique, would you like to be on the all-star season? Would you do something like that?
I would entertain that idea because I think that would just be interesting to see. But I mean, I'm dating someone now, so I wouldn't do it now. I would do it if I was just completely single, yes.
Yeah, that was my next question was, were you dating anyone now?
I am.
Did they know that you were on the show and that's how y'all started dating? Or when you met him, did he not know you were like on TV and y'all started dating?
He didn't know initially, and I told him we actually started dating like a few weeks after I finished filming. So I had told him like, yeah, I'm down in Miami. I just finished filming this show. Da da da. I was like, but I'm about to buy a house in Atlanta, and we just kind of started talking about it. But yeah, he knew from the beginning that I was on the show. He thought it. He still thinks it's so funny. So
Did y'all watch it together a little bit?
yeah, we did watch it together. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Oh God. I wonder if I ever get in a situation like that and I tell my guy, like, I have to tell you something, like, would we sit and like watch it and stuff? I don't know. I would be kind of weird about it, I think.
We sit and we laugh. We make a night of it. We have fun watching the show. And then when the reunion comes on, we was like, we're going to do it again.
Yeah. And I heard that you guys filmed the reunion and had not seen any of the episodes. So when you went to the reunion, you didn't even know what you were going into. You just thought like, hey, it's the reunion. Mm-hmm. And I've also heard from the Ready to Love streets that a lot of people afterwards were pissed. They were upset because they were like, we already filmed the reunion and now we're watching it back on TV. And they're like, yo, like, did you have any experiences or any feelings like that after like watching it back and hence, the reunion already being shot?
I wish that we would have been able to see some of the show before the reunion. Yeah. I really do, because I feel like the reunion, there would have been more revelations and realizations that came out if people would have been able to see the show first and see some of the things that were said. Mm-hmm. Then I feel like it would have made for a better reunion. I thought that's how they always did it. Did they not do that with you guys? Did you guys get to see some of the show before the reunion film?
Yes. So when we filmed the reunion, I think on TV, we were on like episode 4 or 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we had seen those episodes on TV, but honestly, our first 4 or 5 episodes were kind of dry. So our stuff didn't get lit until like episode 8 or 9. So hence, if we would have seen what we saw on episode 8 and 9 and then did the reunion, our reunion would have went completely. It was already bad, but it probably would have been worse, honestly. Because it got real bad. But yeah, it's just so unfortunate that y'all didn't get to see any of it.
No, we didn't. We just saw the clips when we were filming. They show you like the little minute clip or whatever, so you can respond to it. We did that, but we filmed a reunion in December. So, the show hadn't even came out yet. So
golly, like from what I understand, it's a lot of people that are in their feelings, like,
I don't blame them, because I feel like it would have made for a better reunion if we had been able to see some of the episodes, because we went in blind. We didn't know what was said in interviews and things like that, because the show hadn't aired yet.
I'm really excited to see. So I don't know if you can tell me anything about it, but was the reunion for you, did it seem like we're going to be in for a surprise? Like, was it real hype, or were you like, oh, it was okay?
Well, I learned some things that I didn't know at the reunion. So I think, I think the viewers will be pleased, because even with me living through it, I learned some things that I didn't know. That was like, okay, wow. So I think it's still going to be good.
Yeah. So are you working on any projects right now that you would like to share with us and share with the viewers?
Just Yummy Care. That's my feminine hygiene brand. That's what I'm pouring a lot of my energy into these days, with just the branding of that, the product development and testing out the products. And I'm hoping to launch that to the public this summer.
Okay.
So be on the lookout, Yummy Care.
Yeah. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they follow you? Your websites, your social media handles, you want to give it to them?
So Instagram is just at Jonique, Jonique. It's real simple. TikTok is at Jonique Lynch, my first and last name. My website is Jonique Lynch and my feminine hygiene brand is shopyummycare.com, which is being built now, so that'll be launched shortly. So yeah, that's where you can find me. All of my handles are super easy. They're just my name. I keep it real easy for the people.
Yeah, first and last name. And just to let everybody know, if you go to the description box below, the links are actually there. So all you have to do is click on the link and it'll take you right to her TikTok, her Instagram, her website, etc. I don't have the Shop Yummy up there. It's not here yet, but I don't have that down below. But I'm sure you can definitely connect with Jonique on all other platforms. Do you want to conclude or have a message for anyone that's going to watch this or that's watching this now or watch the replay?
I just hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation. I have thoroughly, and just check out my socials. I have a link tree with all of my sites and everything there if you want to connect, if you have further questions or something you're curious about, you want to talk about, just hit me up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching another episode on The Missing Link. If you have not liked this video, don't forget to click that thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, definitely join our Soulmate community that we have over here. Also join my membership platform on YouTube. You can follow me on all my socials at Miss Sabrina Seoul. All my links are down below as well. Other than that, have a great night. I will see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for Wendell Moss, the fashion show author,